All right, let's dive into a question that sounds so simple on the surface, but when you really think about it, it's one of the biggest paradoxes in the whole Bible. So here's the big question. How can we, as human beings, bless God? I mean, just think about that for a second. God is the source of all blessing. He has everything. He owns everything. He lacks nothing. So when we read something like, bless the Lord, what on earth are we actually being told to do?
You know, if you've ever hit that phrase in your reading and just kind of stopped and thought, hang on, that feels completely backwards. Well, you're not wrong. Your intuition is spot on. You're picking up on a really important detail that's going to unlock this whole thing for us.
Okay, so here's the first big clue. We have to stop thinking about a blessing as a thing, like a gift you can hand over. In the Bible, it's not a thing. It's a movement. It's a flow of life and goodness. And the real key to solving this whole puzzle is figuring out the direction of that flow.
So, this idea of movement, this flow, it actually happens in 3 different directions. And what's wild is that even though it's often the same word, its meaning totally changes shape based on who's doing the blessing and who's on the receiving end. This chart really lays it all out for us. First, you've got the flow from God to humans. That's a bestowal, right? God is giving life, giving favor. Then you have the outward flow, from human to human. That's more like delegation. We're acting as a vessel for God's promise. And then there's the one we're really trying to figure out, the upward flow, from us to God. And that's all about recognition, returning praise right back to where it came from.
Okay, let's tackle the easy one first, the one that makes the most sense to us. When God blesses us, He's the source, right? He's like a spring, and all this goodness is just flowing out from Him. He's giving something He has in absolute abundance, something only He can give.
And we're not just talking about a nice feeling here. God's blessing is a creative force. It's generative. It actually makes things grow, it makes them multiply, and it sustains them. It's the engine that powers and supports life itself. So what about when a person blesses another person? Think about Isaac blessing Jacob. He's not creating life from scratch. He's acting more like a channel, like a conduit. He's an authorized participant in what God is already doing. His words carry weight because they're plugging into God's plan.
Okay, and that brings us right back to the central mystery. When we bless God, it's like the river suddenly starts flowing uphill. We can't add anything to the source of the river, right? We're not giving God something He's missing. Our action is purely a response. It's a reflection of His goodness, not a new creation of our own.
So if we're not giving God anything, what in the world are we doing? Well, the answer is hiding in plain sight in the original Hebrew. It's an incredible linguistic clue that shows us the physical posture behind this spiritual idea. Okay, this is where it gets really, really cool. The main Hebrew word for to bless is barak. Now, get this. The Hebrew word for knee is berek. See how similar those are? Barak and berek. That is absolutely not a coincidence. For the ancient Israelites, the idea of blessing was totally tied up with the physical posture of kneeling. To bless was to kneel, whether you were doing it with your body or just with your heart. And believe me, that one connection changes absolutely everything. But that just opens up another huge question, doesn't it? If blessing is kneeling, how does that possibly work for all 3 directions? I mean, it makes sense that we kneel to bless God, but how do we kneel to bless each other? And the most mind-bending one of all, how does God kneel? Yeah, the idea of God kneeling sounds almost shocking, right? But it's not about a physical body bending. It's about a relational posture. I want you to picture a parent kneeling down to look their little kid right in the eyes. That's the idea here. God kneels by stooping down, by lowering Himself in compassion to meet us right where we are. And the Bible actually talks about this. In Psalm 113, it says God humbles Himself to look at the heavens and the earth. That word for humbles literally means to stoop low. He lowers Himself to connect with us. That is what God's blessing looks like. So what about us blessing other people? How do we kneel? Well, it's not about getting on the floor. It's about lowering our pride. It's about setting our ego aside so we can be that channel for God's goodness to someone else, to speak honor over them.
And then we come back to us blessing God. And here, the metaphor becomes completely literal. Our blessing is the act of kneeling. It is the posture, body and soul, of reverence, of submission, of worship. It's how we acknowledge that He is the source of it all.
So when you step back and look at all 3 of these movements together,
You realize they're not separate things at all. It's one single beautiful pattern. It's a complete circle of humility.
So look how it works. It starts with God stooping down in love to give us life. That's step 1. Then, step 2, we lower our own pride to become a channel to bless others. And finally, step 3, we kneel in worship, sending all that praise and glory right back to the source. See? It's a perfect circle.
This is so important. Biblical blessing has nothing to do with power or being in control. It's the exact opposite. In every single direction, down from God, out to others, and up to God, it is an act of relational lowering. It always requires humility. And that leaves us with a really powerful personal challenge, doesn't it? If blessing requires kneeling, then you know what stops the flow? Pride. If I refuse to lower myself, if I cling to my pride, I literally block the circuit. I cut myself off from being a part of this amazing flow of blessing. This just completely flips our modern idea of a blessed life on its head. We think it's about what we get, what we accumulate, but this shows us the truly blessed life isn't about that at all. It's the life that has learned the posture of humility. It's the life that knows how to kneel.
So we come back to our original question. How can we bless God? It's not a transaction. We're not giving him something he needs. To bless God is to take our place in the circle. It's the movement of humility that keeps love flowing in every direction, completing that beautiful circuit that starts and ends with him.